which is a different part of it. A lot of the stuff Trump talks about, he still doesn't know how tariffs work. We're 8 years into this thing, 9 years in. He still thinks China pays the tariffs when they're paid by American companies.
Yeah, I've seen him talk about tariffs.
Very confused guy.
Wait, so China's not paying tariffs right now?
The tariffs are paid by the American companies that import the Chinese goods. That's the way it's such a fundamental, and I see you looking a little confused on this one.
Yeah, I'm confused.
This is the way tariffs work.
So in today's video, we're going to break down David Pakman sitting down with this podcast host, I believe is a conservative podcast host, and educating him on how tariffs work and the complete misunderstanding that so many people in MAGA have, believing that tariffs are going to be beneficial to the United States of America. Let's unpack it together.
What Trump did is place tariffs on Chinese imports. By the time the imports get here, China's been paid for this stuff. Maybe they get net 120 terms, right? But in a sense, China has already transacted. The American company who brings the goods in pays the tariffs.
Really?
You're kidding right now.
No, I thought he said he was raising the tariffs by 50 to 100% for Chinese imports.
You got to clip this. I'm begging you. You got to clip this and send it to me.
No, I'm genuinely
None
confused.
of this stuff is getting cut out, right?
No.
Oh, my God.
We post everything.
Please. The tariffs are paid by the company that does the importing. So if you want to build a building in the U.S. and you import Chinese steel, you pay China for the steel, you pay the U.S. government the tariff. This is why it's inflationary. Economists have looked at Trump's tariff proposal and said it would make stuff more expensive for Americans by adding the cost of the tariffs to the total cost of production. So that's the way tariffs work. A lot of people don't seem to know how tariffs work, which is sad because this is how people end up getting sucked into Trump's vortex. He says something that sounds good. I'm going to punish China with tariffs.
Yeah.
In this case, that sounds good. Chinese tariffs. They're paid by the American companies.
Wow.
That's why it's so damaging.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Send me this part of the conversation.
No, I will. I genuinely had no idea. I thought China was paying those.
Yep. No, China's not paying them.
Yeah, I thought they were, though.
They're not, yeah.
So why would he do that? I'm confused.
You'd have to ask him.
All right, so that's one policy.
So just really quickly, guys, I mean, just seeing that clip in of itself, listen to the last question, why would he do that? And what we have to understand is that there's going to be a lot of MAGA that are like this. Genuinely, they believe that what Donald Trump has said is the truth. It is the actual law in of itself. But that's the reason why platforms like David Pakman, like Brian Tyler Cohen, like Pondering Politics, like even this channel, that's the reason why channels like these are so important, because it's the job of people like that to educate these individuals, the ones who can be saved, because as we know, there are some who can't be saved, but it's the job of channels like this, like the Tyler Cohens, like David Pakman's, to educate people and bring the truth to actual power. And there needs to be more. There needs to be more people out in the space educating people on the truth, on what is and what isn't. And the reality is Donald Trump, his strategy of putting so much rubbish out there into, the ecosystem, it's worked, and it's worked amazingly well. Hence the reason as to why he's now the individual sitting in the Oval Office today. But this is something that needs to be combated, and more people need to be talking about and creating content about these kinds of situations, because like I said, individuals like this, they genuinely do exist, and they genuinely do believe that what Donald Trump is telling them is the truth. But let's continue.
So you don't agree with what else?
Trump's policy on taxation, I didn't agree with putting a cap on salt, state and local taxes, for example. I think it's a way to deliberately target blue states, which tend to have better infrastructure and slightly higher taxes. I didn't agree with that. I didn't see any reason to do that. What's funny is Trump is now saying we're going to fix salt. It's like, dude, you broke it. You're now running against your own tax plan. But then when J.D. Vance was asked about it, he said, well, I don't actually know that we're going to do that. So I disagree with the incompetence surrounding it. I disagree with his instinct to just cut taxes for the very rich and corporations. And also, I think he doesn't even know what he's doing. I don't even think he understands his own plan. His healthcare framework When he was candidate Trump in 2015, 2016, he said he'd replace Obamacare with something big and beautiful that would get everybody coverage.
I remember that.
In 2017, they finally put together a proposal. Nonpartisan evaluations found that around 30 million people would lose health care if that proposal had gone through, so he abandoned it. August of 2020, he famously said on Fox News, in 2 weeks, I'm going to have my new health insurance plan. We still don't have it. Kamala Harris asked him during the debate, or was it Kamala Harris, or I don't, maybe it was the moderator, or it was a question, or maybe it was a town hall. He was recently asked, do you have that plan now? And he said, I have concepts of a plan. Not good. Does not inspire confidence to me.
Right.
Not something I would want to take a chance on.
Well, it seems like this election, at least he's saying that he wants to go up against Big Pharma, him and RFK. Do you believe any of that?
You know, I don't know what I believe about that. I believe the most likely... See, here's the thing about Trump. The prism through which he sees everything is, what can I say or do that's good for me? Period. No matter who else it's good for. And so I think that Trump talking about making RFK some kind of health advisor, which, by the way, I don't believe he will do. I think he's actually going to realize RFK is toxic to his brand and it's not useful, but he's saying that he would. Okay, we can talk about that later. I think he's saying it because he's trying to find a way to get whatever RFK's support might be to support him. So I think that's why he's saying it right now. Privately, I don't think Trump agrees with almost anything that RFK is saying on vaccines. Or Trump would love to be bragging about the vaccines. He admitted in a recent Fox interview, I can't do it because my voters essentially hate it. Those are my words. He didn't say that, but he said people don't want to hear about it and they're angry or this or that. Trump would love to be bragging about how quickly he helped get the vaccines developed. He can't do it. And it's not about his deeply held belief about vaccines. It's just, what can I say to get more voters? That's all he really cares about.
Well, I would argue that's most politicians, though.
It's most politicians, but there's a degree to which Trump is willing to completely sacrifice what he genuinely believes. I'll give you another example. Trump's been pro-choice his entire life on the issue of abortion. Melania Trump recently in an interview said, I'm pro-choice. Trump contrived and fabricated this anti-abortion view because he said to himself correctly, I'm going to run as a Republican. One of the big fundraising issues for Republicans is that you've got to be against abortion. He started speaking at the Right to Life March, or the March for Life, or whatever it's called. Nobody who's around Trump believes for a second that he genuinely changed his view on abortion at age 68. And when you ask him why he changed his view, the story is, well, I was pro-choice my whole life. His wife's pro-choice, his family's pro-choice. But then I met a kid who I liked, and the kid's mom said, I thought about getting an abortion, but I didn't. And Trump wants us to believe that that made him completely against abortion. All of this stuff is far more nakedly political, whereas let's look at some of the areas where Kamala Harris has changed her mind. Legalization of cannabis. She used to be against it. She now came out with the most left-leaning position any major party candidate has taken, which is she wants it legalized. Oh, but she flip-flopped. She changed her mind. Well, she came around to the right view as public opinion and research on cannabis evolved.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's no conflict. With Trump, a lot of this stuff feels nakedly and brazenly opportunistic.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, that was, in my opinion, a masterclass by David Pakman. And the reason as to why I say a masterclass is because, like I said, we need more people just like David Pakman going out into these platforms, these typically conservative, Republican, MAGA type flat platforms, and educating and, almost trying to save the ones that can be saved, because there are a lot out there. There's a lot of people that are out there that can be saved, that can be educated, and we need to be going out there and educating people on them. And even though I'm from over the pond, I'm in a completely different country. That's the reason as to why I take the time out of my day to create these videos, and just to share my 2 pence, just to give an outsider's point of view, as someone who lives in another country. And with everything going on in the world at the moment, you've just seen that the Prime Minister from my country has recently just been over in the States and sitting down with Donald Trump, because there is a direct reflection on my company, what happens over in the United States of America. So it's within everyone's best interest to share content, share education that's going to give people the facts on what's going on in the world, and that's exactly what it is that needs to happen. So even if you're watching this video and you're hearing my point of view, do me a favor, share this video with somebody that it may be of interest to, simply because, you know, a different voice, a different, you know, tone, this may educate people on exactly what it is that Donald Trump's doing, because he's lying to his supporters left, right, and center. And slowly but surely, we're starting to see a bit of a shift, I believe, where a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump in the last election are now understanding that, you know what, we were hoodwinked, we were bamboozled, because this individual here, I can pretty much probably imagine he probably still voted for Donald Trump, but he was educated on something, and all it took was David Pakman to sit down in a non-confrontational manner, and just educate him on MAGA, on the way that tariffs work, and on, you know, the different policies that it is that Donald Trump's got that he doesn't like. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below this video. I just think it's really interesting when I watch these videos and I see points of views like this. It's really intriguing to me. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below this video, and I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye, guys.